Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today be taking a look into the future as we're starting to get to the point where you start to look for signs of winter showing itself. Even right now, if we take a look into the eastern part of the US, you can see pretty much in Maine and eastern part of Canada, we can see we have a low pressure system here that's dragging down cold air. Pretty much, I would say some connections to the Arctic, not fully, but you do have pretty cold air coming down into I'd almost say almost the central part of the US. Eastern, Midwest, say Ohio Valley region, Mid Atlantic, Northeast, you get the idea. Right now we have cold air coming down from Arctic and eastern part of Canada. You have a high pressure system sitting out west, building into central Canada, and we do have low pressure systems getting ready to come into the western coast of the US. Notice how we do have lower heights in the Arctic. This is a positive AO and positive NAO, so there's no blocking up here. And I'd say we have a neutral EPO right now. You have a mix of higher and lower heights. So if we'd be sitting in winter right now, I would be surprised that we even have a trough out east. I would really think that you would have either zonal flow, where you have winds coming from the west coast and east coast, and you have just straight Pacific air coming across the country, or we have like a trough out here and then some like that. But at least looking at the teleconnections, I'm surprised we even do have cold air coming into the eastern part of the US. Big reason why we do is because of this low pressure system right here. Anyways, moving on, looking for signs of winter, right? If we move on a little bit here, sadly, if you're East Coast lover, right? East Coast snow lover. I apologize for that one. But once again, with the La Nina, you're probably going to have ridging somewhere down here majority of the winter. And it's if you want big snowstorms, sometimes you do want a ridge down there, at least parts of the Northeast, right? Because you track, let's say you have the ridge right here, right? And only way it could go a storm out of the Gulf is like this, right? Nice nor'easter flexing off the ridge with cold air coming down. That's how we get some of our biggest snowstorms in the eastern part of the US. Not always. We can get it different ways, but sometimes that's how it's done, especially in a La Nina year. According to this is the ensembles of the GFS, by the way. When you get to long range forecasting, this is what you want to look at because it's multiple models showing you one thing at once. You see that a Northern Stream jet is pretty much locked up in Canada. Don't have any blocking in Greenland. That's a positive NAO. You don't have any blocking in the Arctic right now. That's a positive AO. And you don't have a negative EPO. This is probably, it's a neutral EPO. And then off on the West Coast, you don't have a positive PNA. This is a negative PNA when you have troughing out west. Now, moving on with this, if we take a deeper look into pretty much the future here, as you get farther down the line, the signal of let's say a trough out east or west gets weaker and weaker because it's out in the future. But you still see the signs, right? So you see 264 hours out, right? Not the greatest accuracy wise when it's this far out, but you can see you do have a little bit of a ridge building into Alaska, but it's not close enough to the west coast to the point where the trough would be pushed out east. Instead, you have troughing out west, and then you have a ridge back out east. This is something even though I live in the East Coast, something sadly I expect throughout winter. You do have, once again, positive AO, positive NAO, and it looks like a negative EPO is trying to form, but at this very moment, it's not there yet. Excuse me, negative EPO is trying to form, but it's not there yet. This is what I expect throughout winter, pretty much. And if you watch my last video, this is pretty much the forecast I had: troughing out west, ridging out east. Now, if we go a little bit further out, you can see our EPO starts to build into Western Canada and the Western Pacific states. And you can see even though the signal is weak, if you follow the isobars, you can see you get troughing back out east again a little bit. According to the GEFS, GEFS, 348 hours out. Now, once again, this is not really a reliable thing to look at, especially when it's this far out, but it's definitely something to watch. Finally, I just want to show you what our teleconnections look like. This is our AO. Once again, AO is up in the Arctic region, right? Right now, it's positive. At least it's neutral right now, but it's going to be positive and then possibly go back negative at the end of the month. If we take a look at our ensembles, what I just showed you, you could clearly see a positive AO, lower than normal heights in the Arctic region. That's when you usually get storms up in the Arctic region, when you have a positive AO. Now, if we back up a little bit here into the NAO, you can see it's once again going neutral to slightly positive, nothing crazy, right? But it's not anything you want if you want colder air in the United States. And you can clearly see lower than normal heights in that Arctic and Greenland region. So that's also a positive reading on the NAO. Finally, we don't have an EPO reading, but you can clearly see we have a PNA reading, which, let me just back up real quick and show you what it is. PNA usually sits on the western part of the United States and southern part of Western Canada. Positive is when we have ridging over here. Negative is when you have lower heights, lower than normal heights, and that's a negative PNA. That's usually when you have troughing out west. And you can clearly see it's also going from neutral to about negative, and you can clearly see here troughing out west. Now, as a winter lover in the eastern part of the U.S., you gotta hope this is just a trend for fall, and this trend will reverse in say about mid-November, maybe even earlier, maybe by the end of the month, things will swing around and change. But looking for signals for winter, this is not a good look for the eastern part of the U.S. If you're a West Coast snow lover, this is amazing look for you so far. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will update you with more information tomorrow if I get the chance. Have a wonderful day.